Susan, I'm so happy to be talking with you. And I am just remembering this morning as I was like gathering my thoughts for today's huddle, as I was writing finishing the missive. I had started it, but it also feels like a very alive thing that in the morning I want to meet us all where we're actually at, not with where I thought we would be at last week.
Mhm.
So this morning I was thinking, okay, and I loved, the idea of different ways that we can move, and I hope you all got the like, oh, this isn't like I have to go and run a marathon. No, like even looking up and looking around is movement. Your eyes move. When we're like in shutdown state, even lifting our eyes, I shouldn't even say even, although you understand what I mean. Like that is a significant movement because it's bringing us out of shutdown, looking up and looking around. But last night, back to why I have Susan here with me, is after the theme of yesterday of softening, we had a co-regulating and SSP listening drop-in last night, and Susan was there among a few other people. And she mentioned her example of softening um, in relation to feeling. Actually, I'm going to let you say it, Susan. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Okay. I'm just gonna turn off my phone because it's making noises. Um, yeah, I was feeling a little shut down actually, and it was different than tired. Sometimes I'm tired, but I was feeling a little like I could feel that in response to sort of good feelings that I'm having, and I want to continue to grow and expand. And I felt like that was my edge that you were talking about, the softening edge and sort of being open to holding that and expanding that. There was also this fear that was kind of going into a little bit of a shutdown. And I was in touch with that while I was on another Zoom call before we had ours. And I realized I just needed to move, not stay stuck and shut down in my body. And so I took my video off. I started walking around my house and doing tapping, which you had um, taught me how to do as a way of transferring from one state to another, but also the movement as well. And it just really helped energize me and not go to the old place because I think there's old thoughts and feelings and patterns and ways of thinking that are easy to sort of go back into. And I knew I didn't want to do that. I was friendly towards that desire, but
Good.
but I didn't want to go there. So I tried this and it really worked. It was really helpful. I felt more open to the good feelings and able to kind of just sit with them and expand them. It
Mm,
was really interesting to have that experience.
I love that. I would love that. And such a like also practical for yes, yes, Lynn. Feel free to drop love for Susan in the chat or yeah, just your equivalent of yes, I'm seeing the hearts. Just so practical. Like, I mean, now after the pandemic, right? Who doesn't know those Zoom meetings? And before it was like sitting a lot at a desk at work, but at least the- anyway, to be able to realize, oh, okay, I want to be moving around and just turn the video off and start moving, start pacing, start doing something different. But the thing that really stands out, Susan, that you're sharing is this sort of nuanced noticing of the difference between just being tired and of being like pulled back into wanting to shut down,
Yeah.
right? Like shutdown, there's a lot of overlap between shutdown and rest. In fact, like in my program, we talk about that blended state of that green zone and blue together, and we can get rest that feels safe and that we like replenishes us. But shutdown is like a I'm scared kind
Mhm.
of, you know, shutting down of everything rather than it being really replenishing. It's the best we can do before we know the difference and before our nervous system allows us to rest in a way that we can take in as safe. But it yeah, it isn't very restful sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to say
Yeah,
too.
and I was very grateful to be able to differentiate that because I don't think I could have done that before and to have tools to address it rather than just being there, you
Yep,
know. So,
yep, yeah.
so thank you.
You're so welcome. And I just want to say also to everyone here that I'm going to be in my next newsletter, not as far part of the Joy Lab, but I'm going to be linking to a conversation that Susan and I had because Susan was actually my boss 30 years ago. And she was incredibly, she didn't even know it at the time, I don't think, but she just was incredibly like supportive and formative for me. Like over the years, when I think back on like a very dark time, her name pops up as someone who helped me. And in that conversation that I recorded, we actually talked about that full circle thing. And Susan reaching out to me in response to, like, she got on my email list last year and then said, I want to know about your program. And then I want to jump in. So here we are. Like, I mean, there have been like tears of like, oh my, for me, maybe
Me
for
too.
Susan,
Me too.
like, wow, like, and a way of also reclaiming, like being able to go back and scoop up 25-year-old Heidi from
Mm.
those dark times. And now it's funny because in the program that Susan is doing with me, there's other people but when we meet, I like hear Susan laugh sometimes and it's almost like, well, her laugh is still the same, right? And I'm realizing like what a cue of safety that, like her laugh or her Susanness was to me those 30 years ago. And it feels like I don't have the right word for how it feels to get to support someone deeply that was so like I could never repay, right? So anyway, but let's not forget the fiddle. Let's not forget the fiddle. So you're gonna think that all my clients take up like singing like alone and musical instruments, and it's not true. It's not true. Like they don't all, but it just so happens that something shifted for you, Susan, after like, can you say just a couple of sentences about that?
Yeah. Um, well, for many, many years, like the thought of anybody hearing me play by myself was like sheer terror and, just absolutely not something I could even tolerate thinking about. And I during the time of doing this program, I had one request. I was playing in this class, learning how to play for contra dances, and the teacher or the person teaching the class for our final performance, where we were actually going to play for a contra dance, um, asked if I would lead off one of the tunes. And in the past, that would have struck terror in my heart, and I would have had to perseverate about it. And I noticed when this person asked me, I was like, yeah, I can do that. And it was okay. And now I'm actually preparing, and I do have a little terror, but mostly not. I'm going to be playing in a cover band, a few songs on Saturday night, and I have to play some solos as a part of that. And so again, I'm kind of surprised that I'm able to do that without it's not like I love how I sound, but it's like I'm okay with not being perfect and I can feel good and enjoy it. I think. We'll see. But that's so far that seems to be what's happening. It's not this terrifying experience that it's been. So that's a real shift. That's a huge shift.
So,
It's a metaphorical shift and
yeah.
it's a shift on every level. It's really big for me.
I love it. I love it. Like, yeah, it's an actual shift and metaphorical. Um, I'm just thinking back because I didn't even know you played the fiddle when you jumped into the program. Like, what made you want to, like, what was the thing that said, "Oh, I need some nervous system help," if you can remember?
Around the
When
fiddles.
you, no, not the fiddle, like when
Oh,
you
just in
always,
general.
yeah, just in general,
Yeah.
whatever you feel
Um,
comfortable saying.
well, I think for me, one of the things that I realized that there were certain situations, even though, I'm very accomplished in my life in many ways, had a very fulfilling career and education and lots of great friends and people in my life. There were certain situations that would just bring me to my knees in terms of my ability to respond. So, like if someone was angry with me or um, I was confronted in a way that was surprising, I would just kind of not even know what to say. Like I just would kind of draw a blank and feel like I was about five. And I really didn't like that, and felt like I would go into kind of a freeze state
Mhm,
if we talk about nervous system
mhm,
states. And I just wanted to figure out how to cope with that and how to move through that. So that was really the main thing. And I'm finding that that's shifting as well. Hopefully I'm not having, I mean, fortunately I'm not having too many situations where, you know, I'm in that kind of a conflict
mm,
situation. But when that comes up, I do feel better equipped to
mhm,
just sort of be in the moment and address what I'm feeling.
mhm,
Yeah,
mhm. Yeah, you mentioned a very particular one, um, shifting in your family a few weeks ago.
that's
Yeah,
right. I
yeah.
had a situation where one of my family members was treated me pretty poorly, and I just had a noticing of that and some initial old reactions, but then I pretty quickly moved to, oh, this is not about me. This is about this person. And I don't need to take that on.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I definitely experienced some new facility and skills in dealing with that situation. Thank you for reminding me. I forgot about that.
I know, we get so thank you, Susan. Thank you so much. I'm seeing love for you in the chat, so be sure to go see it. And there's the hearts, and there were some like celebration. What are those called? The horns. What
Yeah,
are they? Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So it's just so incredible to get to watch people change like in front of me, like in front of each other too, like in our program when we come together like last night. And
yeah.
those glimmers and cues of safety are contagious.
Yes. And I want to say one other thing. And I think that part of why this has been possible for me is doing it in community with other people and having the regular connection and reminders because this stuff is old and embedded and hard to shift. And so it's been a surprising positive thing being in a group as well as having the regularity of these reminders.
Yeah. Oh.
So